What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros Podcast. I am your host, Resident Darrell, and this week I got a very special guest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into the leaderboards. I'm going to kick us off with a toast. I'm going to do the backlog, beatdown updates, all that stuff. Then I'm going to jump straight into this week's official topic. It is an interview with an indie game developer. His name is Luis Manos. I hope I said that right. I have a drummer named Luis. And sometimes I think everyone that their name looks like Luis is Luis. Either way, Mr. Manos was on the show talking about his studio, Set Apart Studios, and his game, The Land Between, coming out 2023 on Steam. Hopefully, fingers crossed, on the PlayStation with some very understandably attainable trophies. We will see. We had an excellent conversation. I asked for 30 minutes of his time, and he gave me well over an hour. 51 minutes of it, I believe, are the interview. And we had some before and after conversations. It was excellent time. He will definitely be back on the show in the future. We had a really, really good conversation. I'm super thankful to have had him on the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this podcast off. Oh, yeah. With a toast to our Patreon producers, Sadik, Johnny. My name is effing Mayo and MZ effing Nitro. Guys, we have been recording non-stop throughout the week. Myself, Tricky Mick, Dan Evans, coming together and pumping out so much Patreon content. Guys, if you are listening to the Loot Bros Podcast and you're not a patron, you are missing out. Normally, you get the Super Loot Bros Podcast at the $1 tier. You can get any bonus episodes we do of any of the other spinoff shows, all that stuff, early access, you know the drill. And then you get the deep dive at the $5 tier. This month, because The Last of Us HBO Max series has been going on, the deep dive has been spread out each and every week. Myself and Tricky Mick are coming together and we're cross-pollinating our Patreons. So you're getting deep dives of each and every episode of The Last of Us, full-on spoilers, very, very real, raw impressions of everything. We had some great conversations. It's been excellent. And so what we did was to get caught up because the first 2 weeks, he and I, our work schedules were really crazy. We jumped and did 3 episodes back to back. So boom, you guys got 3 episodes of the Loot Bros Podcast. I made that available at every tier for the Patreon for this particular series. So if you're a Patreon supporter at all, you will get access to our deep dives of the Last of Us HBO Max series. It has been an excellent series, and even the episodes that maybe didn't hit the strongest for us have been excellent episodes when it comes to quality TV and production and storytelling. So this thing has been really hot. We've had a really good time having conversation about it. And I feel like we've had some conversations that maybe not everyone else has had, and come at it from perspectives that maybe not everybody else has had. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. I don't know. But both of us have played the games, some of us sometimes more than once, and it's been a good conversation. So that being said, you're also getting an episode of the Loot Bros Comic Cast this month. That's right. Myself and Dan Evans got together and we talked about a couple things. The new James Gunn universe, the DCU, and our opinion, the sad state of DC, and just how what we could have had versus what we're getting versus what we think we're going to get. You know, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? We definitely share our feelings on it. We talked tokenization of characters in comic books. We talked about just some of our issues with modern day writers. It gets really crazy. It gets really deep. So that is going to be available for the patrons as well. I will kind of forewarn you, it is very politically charged because comic books have been so politically charged. So we try to do our absolute best to keep it in the realm of, you know, comics and what is going on. But we had an excellent time, and we're going to come back. We're going to do a very special series. And again, more cross-pollination. This is going to be a cross-pollination between the Loot Bros Podcast, Loot Bros Comic Cast, and the Godfo universe. So we're going to be coming together, and we're going to do our own What If series. So we're going to do a What If series on, you know, kind of I'm trying to think the best way to do it without spoiling it. If certain things in comics and certain things in the DCEU hadn't changed, what would we have gotten? What would we have liked to see? So it is, we got some cool stuff coming along. handful of announcements. Some of the stuff you'll hear in the show. But as far as YouTube goes, I did finally break 100 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. The videos are doing well, getting much more views than I deserve. So I really appreciate you guys. If you haven't followed my YouTube yet, it is Resident Darrell on YouTube. We are rocking and rolling, putting out some content. I did come on here and say I was going to bump it up to 2 videos a week. And then the first week I did 2 videos, I got like really substantially less views on both. So I think I'm going to pause it, guys. I think I'm actually going to wait before I do 2 videos a week and kind of see. I might do 2 videos a week, 1 video a week, 2 videos a week, 1 video a week, because I don't want them to cannibalize each other. But the way it worked was this. I put 2 out, and then both of them got substantially less views than normal. Now, it could be bad thumbnails. It could be bad quality. I don't know. But then I waited a week, put another video out at my normal time, and it got twice as many views as the previous episodes have or previous videos have, and I gained a ton of subscribers. So is it the content? Maybe. Is it the quality of the thumbnail? Also maybe. Is it just luck of the draw? Maybe I landed in the algorithm right? Maybe. So I'm going to keep playing around with it. I know I promised to, but I don't know that I'm ready to commit to it yet because I don't want to do myself a disservice. But we will see. I'm also going to play around with shorts. My daughter's been giving me some great ideas on some YouTube shorts, so I'm going to do those. So please, if you have not yet, go check out the YouTube channel, Resident Darrell. My daughter and I have a second bet, guys. She beat me to 100 subscribers. She is currently at 114. I'm at 104. So I'm closing that gap. And the bet was I would pass her in subscribers in the month of February. And if I did, she has to buy me a pack of M&Ms. If I don't, I have to buy her a key lime pie, which would be the second key lime pie because she beat me to 100. So we will see what happens. We got some great videos coming up, guys. I picked up this past weekend. So this goes live Monday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time. As of right now, I picked up 12 video game consoles in the past 3 days. I think I got less than $100 in all of it. Maybe I'm getting close to about $100 in all of it. So very cool. No, that's not true. Probably about $140, we'll say, in all of them. So super excited about my pickups. I got a couple Wii's, I got a couple PS1s, I got an Xbox One, a 360, got a Game Boy Pocket in excellent condition. Got a Game Gear in excellent condition. A PSP 2001, which looks like the fat 1000 series, but it's cheaper. It's a flimsier plastic. Very interesting model, that 2001. I don't think I've owned one of those in so long. I think the last time I had a 2001 might have been the God of War console, and I can't even remember if I actually owned it or if I just was using my coworkers. I don't even remember anymore. It's been so long, but picked up a 2001. Haven't tested it. I'm going to do an entire video, guys, of just testing these consoles. There's so many of them. I think I can make an entire video on just testing those. That'll be coming out pretty soon. So Resident Darrell on YouTube, Loot Bros Patreon, if you haven't already. Thank you guys for all of the support. And we're going to jump right into the backlog beatdown and the leaderboards. All right, the True Trophies Loot Bros podcast custom leaderboard. Tricky Mick in first place, straight up killing it. His latest trophy was in God of War Ragnarok on PS4. My man Tricky is whoring, making me proud. Second place, the Affectatious Daunt with 455 trophies. His last trophy was A Matter of Principle. That's that's the name of the game, actually. It's the Asia stack. So 455 trophies. He's still doing great. Third place, Steigen Wolf with 113, the last trophy in Jeopardy. Very nice. Fourth place, our Patreon producer, the man, Sadik, playing some Fighting X Layer. I've never heard of any of those games. Well, I've heard of Jeopardy, but okay, let me back up. Never heard of Matter of Principle, Fighting X Layer, and that's it. Those are the two I haven't heard of. So very nice. And then in fifth place, this is a new one. So let's see, MEECE Goats a Lot. So Missy Goats a Lot. I don't know. Somebody, you're gonna have to help me out with that one. New to the leaderboard. Glad to have you, Miss Goats a Lot or Mr. Missy Goats a Lot. I don't know. The Goats a lot. That's what I'm going to call you. Goats a lot. 71 trophies. Latest trophy in Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time. Very nice. And then sixth place. It is Mr. Matt spelled backwards. We're playing some Genshin Impact. That is awesome. 54 trophies, by the way. So that is a nice 1 through 6. Now, normally I don't go that far. Normally I do the top 3 or the top 5. But since I saw some new names on there and Mr. Matt spelled backwards hasn't been in leaderboards in quite some time, figured I would stretch my legs a little bit. So very nice, guys. Loving all the action and all the people in the Loot Bros leaderboard. That is very, very nice. All right, checking out the Xbox leaderboard. And here we go. We got the top 7 this time have some points on the board. So I'm glad to see it. First place, the Sultan of Simulation. I'm styling on your bro with 1,835 achievement points. Playing some Psychonauts 2. Very nice. Second place, I Drop Roaches. That's my cousin and former co-host of the show. Playing some geez, help me. GoldenEye 007. Close enough. That is awesome. I am super stoked to play that, guys. I'm going to try to sneak that in a little bit this week. I should, fingers crossed, have a lighter work week this week. So I should be able to get a lot of gaming done. We'll see. It's been a wild few weeks wrapping up some of my management responsibilities and stepping out of my leadership position. So hopefully I got more time for games. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe I'll actually get a bunch of loans going. Third place, GDI Master Ace with 280 achievement points, playing some Dead Space. Very nice. Fourth place, Satic, Patreon producer Satic, 190 achievement points, playing some GoldenEye 007. Or, what did I say earlier? Gold 00I? I don't even know. I screwed it up so much I didn't even remember. Fifth place, HJD. 2011 hashtag 5279. That is Harry, Gaz Davis' son. 150 achievement points, playing some FIFA 23. Nice to see you continuously on the leaderboard. As a matter of fact, it is nice to see this young lad in a higher position on the leaderboard than his dad, week after week after week. Man. And this guy runs a trophy rarity contest. Can you believe it? His son's showing him up week after week. Very nice. And I'm going to read number 6 on this one as well, just because Sony Pony to you, playing some Hi-Fi Rush, 90 achievement points. Hey, I did not do a proper what have you been playing this week because we had our interview. And I tell you what, I tried Hi-Fi Rush. Somehow, some way, I'm going to get some people together. We're going to do a little bit of a recap on the Xbox developer show. Maybe it's going to be during the main show. Who knows? But that was really cool. It was not supposed to be a place where you shadow drop a unannounced IP. And I got to say, guys, Hi-Fi Rush might be the best thing on Xbox right now. I am a little biased because that's my boy Shinji Mikami dropping some freaking games. And it's cool because it's a fast-ish pace, stylish, I'll say, action rhythm game where you're going around, you're smacking dude, you're fighting, but you're fighting to the rhythm of a song that's playing. And if you hit your buttons in cadence, in rhythm with the beats, that you kind of style up and flashy up your combos. So it's pretty rad. I like it. I think it's really cool. Not saying it's a perfect game, but the first hour that I played of it was really, really cool. It was a very great first impression. Now, the things I've read about it is that it stays pretty good, and that's what we need. And that is one thing that Xbox is doing, I think, pretty well right now, is they, even if it's not all of their games per se, they are, accumulating a lot of diverse and different style games on Game Pass. And then they're just like, hey, by the way, here's this new game we're doing. Boom. Shadow drop on Game Pass. Let's rock and roll. So very, very nice. I'm playing it on the Xbox One streaming on through the cloud. Now, granted, I'm hardwired with a gig internet, a gig fiber, and it's good. And I was worried playing a game like this might not be the best, streaming might not be the best way to play it, but so far, so good, guys. So I definitely highly recommend Hi-Fi Rush, at least checking it out if you have Game Pass. So that being said, let's head over to the Backlog Beatdown. All right, guys, here we go. The Backlog Beatdown for Back 4 Blood. We have I'm Styling on Your Bro with 41 points. it won't be long before he adds some more. It's about time. We got Duplex with 29. We got Diego with 28. Red Beer Rick with 18. Departed, glad to have you, with 13. Resident Darrell with 10. I put 4 points on the board this week. Finally beat Dead Space 2 and Gotham Knights, guys. Deep dive coming in hot. Gotham Knights. That is going to be the next deep dive you guys get on the Patreon. Spoilers, I enjoyed the game. Can't wait to talk about it. Next up, we got Kalai with 10 points. We got Alex with 9, CJ with 9, JT with 9, Sadik with 9. Gaz, I lose to my son on the leaderboards each and every week. Davis with 8. We got John Michael with 6. We got the Bearded Nerd, or One Plat Zach, as Gaz calls him, with 6. We got James the Nerd with 5. Dino Killer with 4. I Yield to No One with 3. Sid with 3. Let's see. Jared has 3. No, that's Sid with 3. Jared has 2. We got MZ with 2 and Noah the Builder with 2. So very nice, guys. Very nice. The backlog beatdown has been a blast. Now, what I'm going to do is at the end of the show, I'm going to add in the Trophy Rarity Contest update. It is larger than previous weeks, but I think we can all agree these breakdowns have been excellent. It is a lot of work on behalf of Gas. Thank you so much for doing that. And I can't wait to see who he roasts this week. So with that being said, we're going to jump into our interview. Thank you guys so much. Please stay to the end of the show for the Trophy Rarity update. We will holler at you on the next one. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros Podcast. I'm your host, Resident Darrell, and today I have a very special guest. I have a indie game developer here. I know I promised you guys we would have more game devs on this year. We had a handful last year, and we kind of took a bit of a break from the interview cycle that we were doing. Well, now we're back into it, and we're getting ready to do a series of interviews with different creators, comic book creators, YouTubers, streamers, game devs, all that stuff coming right up. So today I would like to introduce Luis Manos. Does that say your last name right?
Yeah.
All right, good. How you doing, man? I'm so glad to have you on. I know we talked briefly before we got on the show and started firing off on things. I'm really glad we were able to make this work and make it work pretty quickly since we've been corresponding on Facebook. So, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I truly appreciate you taking the time to have me come on and get to talk to you guys a little bit and get to know kind of what you're doing. It's definitely been super awesome to kind of see the great things you're already doing on this show. And I'm getting a kick out of a lot of your YouTube videos, especially the one with you and your son kind of going to these different locations and checking out video games. I've been just having a hoot, because it's something that me and my daughters do. So it's interesting for sure.
That's awesome. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we just, as a matter of fact, a little bit of housekeeping. We just dropped a new video today. As of the recording, this is going to go live. This is a Thursday. This will go live on a Monday morning. So you guys will have already seen the video is live. And this one was a wild one because we found this random warehouse on the side of the road as we were leaving some of the flea markets and stuff we were visiting. And we drove across town about an hour or so away, maybe an hour and 30 minutes away from actually where we live. And we hit 3 flea markets, which I didn't show those in the video. That'll be in the next one. But we're leaving. We're getting ready to go to the interstate. And we see this warehouse, and it's just filled with junk. And on the side of the road, it looked like they had tables set up for like a yard sale. And we're like, oh. So my son and my nephew and I were together on this one, my oldest and my nephew. And they're like, dude, we got to go there. We got to go. We turn around and we park on the side of the building, and it's just junk as far as you can see. It just looks like piles of trash. And we're like, oh, man, there's probably going to be nothing here, but whatever. So we go, and the first box I walk up to is filled with Blu-ray and anime.
Oh, wow.
And that's a good sign, man. That's a good sign when when you walk up and you see Blu-rays and anime, there's definitely, you tend to find them together. Yeah. I say in the video once that where there's smoke, there's fire. And we're like, yep, there's a game in here somewhere and we're going to find it. And so my nephew and my oldest son, they just start diving in. I start diving in, and sure enough, we find a bunch of cool stuff. And so that video dropped, but that is the closest thing I've ever been to dumpster diving, because I got a little backstory actually on the guys that own this place today from someone else who goes there. And he said, yeah, they buy storage units, they box everything up, and they just dump it in the warehouse, like literally just dump it in there. So you dive in, you find stuff, then you got to find them and ask them what they want for it.
Yeah.
And so it was cool because I posted the video and I had 2 people comment that they've been to the same place and they know exactly what I'm talking about. I was like, that's wild. I thought I found this random, hole in the wall. So I appreciate you checking them out, listeners. If you're hearing me and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know you were doing YouTube. Yes, just a few weeks back we started a YouTube channel. It is Resident Darrell, my gamer tag, and it is myself. Sometimes it's my youngest son, sometimes it's me and my daughter, sometimes it's my oldest, sometimes it's all 3. My nephew's gotten involved, my dad's involved now, my brother's involved. Like, it's like all of a sudden everyone in my little family, minus my wife, she really hates going. They're going with me, and we're just like looking for video games, action figures, things we can resell on the internet, make a little bit of a profit, and roll right back out there and buy some more. So something we've been doing that it hasn't been on the most recent videos, but you'll start to see is on the way there, we're kind of calling our shot, Babe Ruth style. It's like, all right, boys, what are we gonna get? What are we looking for? And so it's been really fun because my youngest, he watches all the reseller videos online. So he watches like your Bearded Thrift Machine, your Harry Tornado. He watches Tronic, whatever that guy is that fixes all the consoles and stuff. My kid's 8, and the one in the Anime Expo video, and he's so fascinated with it, and he's like a little sponge. He just like soaks up everything. He's like, oh man, these things are valuable. If we find them, we can sell them. We can make money. We can go back out and buy more stuff.
No, that's so cool.
It really is. It's been fun. And so we go out and we find a bunch of cool stuff, and he's just like, Dad, seriously, I saw this on a video. This is worth money, and it's been fun. So I do appreciate you checking them out. Anyone who's listening, definitely check the videos out because they're getting better. Maybe not the quality, maybe not the voice behind it all, but the actual intent is getting better. And my kids are just blowing my mind with just how they're involved, and they're like, man, this is pretty cool. And then whatever they find, if we flip it, they get the money. So it's like easy allowance. Awesome. Yeah, so definitely Resident Darrell on YouTube. If you get a minute, check it out. We definitely appreciate it. Also, Loot Bros Podcast, guys, we have a Patreon. We definitely want to give a shout out to all of our Patreon producers, all of you guys that support us each and every month. We couldn't and wouldn't do it without you. So definitely appreciate that. And if you're listening, you're like, oh, you have a Patreon. What's on your Patreon? We've got multiple tiers, lots of extra content. This month specifically, myself and the host of the Trophy Horse podcast, we have been coming together each week, and we're doing a review on the Last of Us HBO Max series.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's been wild, man. It's been wild. I was worried it could go either way. It's either gonna be good or it's gonna be bad. Uh-huh. And so far the first couple episodes didn't disappoint. So we just did a recording of the first 3 episodes. They are released all on the Patreon, and then we are recording from now on. We're called up together because work schedules got in the way, but we're called up. So now after each episode, the next morning, we're going to record together and give you our thoughts and our breakdown on the episodes. So far that's been pretty good, and the reception's been pretty good on those too. So thank you guys for checking it out. Now, that's all of my BS out of the way. So the floor is all yours. Why don't you start off by telling us, what's the elevator pitch for what your game is, and then from there, how you got into game development.
So The Land Between is a third-person puzzle platform jumper action fantasy style game. It's kind of like your basic Mario mixed in with a little bit of Zelda and just a lot of plot twists. So I kind of got into this whole game development thing back in, it was like 2018 into 2019. I was finishing up my degree in cybersecurity, and we were taking this animation class, and one of it was to use Unreal Engine. And I just got hooked. It was so good and so interesting, and how to get everything to work and everything. And so I started my journey there trying to develop games and everything. And I remember I had this just real trippy dream. It was crazy, and I told my brother about it, and he was like, you should make a video game about this. And I was like, okay, we'll see. Maybe I'll write the story out and everything and kind of go from there. And as I wrote the story out and had people checking it out, they're like, man, this is going to be really good. And so I started working on this game. It was called Slayer of Seraphim. And
it's a cool name.
It was, something, it was very Last of Us status with like a little bit of parkour, a little bit of, third person shooter, slashing, just really crazy. And then right as I'm like beginning to jump in head first, I get a call saying, hey, so before I guess I go into that, I'm part of the California National Guard. And so this is where I get this call saying, hey, did you volunteer for this deployment? I'm like, no, our deployment's not for another 2-3 years. They're like, well, I got good news and bad news. The good news is you're going to get paid, but the bad news is they're pulling you without volunteering. Your name's getting pulled into the hat. And so within 2 months, my family had to get ready to bounce. And so, or at least I had to get ready to leave them here. And so that whole process, took its toll. And I have 3 daughters, one on the way now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super excited. And anyway, my daughters, they were like, hey, why don't, because I couldn't take my whole system in town and everything, and to try to move everything onto a laptop was just going to be chaotic. And, my daughters, they were like, hey, why don't you make us a game? And so I was like, you know what, why not? And so I was like, I started developing this real, fantasy style game, almost like an Alice in Wonderland, Chronicles of Narnia. And I started playing, just to kind of keep myself busy while I was overseas, and had these, rough, tough infantry dudes playing this character of a little girl running through this forest and everything. And they're like, man, this is pretty good. You gonna be selling this? And it kind of got me thinking, I was like, what, why don't I share this with other people? And so I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people, and getting involved, and people have been super supportive. And so once I got back from the deployment, I started kind of spreading the word, and that's actually how I came across you.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it was awesome. I actually saw you in a group that we're both a part of. I believe I saw you the first time in like a Christian, was it a Christian game dev group? Yeah. Or was it just because I'm in so many. I'm in Christian game devs. I'm in Christian music. I mean, like ton of Christian music groups and stuff like that. So I saw in there you talking about your game or whatever. I'm also in several indie dev games. Indie dev groups. And so I saw that you had like a little trailer or whatever, and I was like, as soon as I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, dude, that's got Chronicles of Narnia vibes right there. Uh-huh. And so that's when I was like, hey, man, if you ever want to come on and talk about your game, I was like, feel free to jump on. And what usually happens in this situation is twofold. The most of the game devs I reach out to are like, you know what, I'm not very interesting. I don't know what to say, which, believe it or not, happens a ton. And I'm like, man, you're making a freaking video game. What's more interesting than that? I mean, like, you've got a vision and you've got talent and you are making it happen. Like, come talk to me. And the other is, especially in some, I won't say all, but some of the Christian circles, it's like, oh, well, I mean, I'll check out your show. They'll check out the show and then they'll listen to, a bunch of my dudes dropping F-bombs and talking about all, we have guys right into the show talking about Amber Heard pooping in Johnny Depp's bed. And they're like, oh yeah, we're not going over there to talk to those guys. So I was very appreciative that you were like, hey, yeah, I'll definitely come on there and talk about my game. So it's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Heck yeah. So,
and yeah, we did meet on that. I think it was the Christian Gamers Facebook group. And
sweet.
yeah, that's where I dropped the trailer and had people kind of give their input and everything. And the game in itself, like, I've had so many people play it who, they don't believe in God and everything, which is fine. It's totally cool because, I mean, The Land Between, it's just a great story. But there are so many faith-based Easter eggs within them. There are so many different things that simply tell, people, God loves you and he has an amazing plan for your life. And, but aside from that, it's just a really good story.
Awesome. So I want to back up just a minute before we get too much farther in The Land Between, because you said that you started working on a Last of Us style or Last of Us inspired game.
Yeah.
And so what happened there? I know you said that you couldn't necessarily work on it when you were being deployed. Is that something that you might go back to one day, or what's kind of going on with that project?
Yeah, so that project is like the story's completed. The game has already been started. So it's definitely something, it's kind of like that dream game that I have, but it had so many different mechanics that, again, was going to be way too much. And so trying to, separate time between work, family, and then development, you kind of have to set those priorities. And I was like, I really want to work on this game, but there's like another like 4 games behind it that I've kind of prepared. This one's very kid friendly, but the other ones that I've been developing over time, just with the story and everything, they become they're very dark in the sense of, and I say like Last of Us, I mean, I'm nowhere near what they've got, but the story is something that's where I'm at. Is I can tell a good story. Definitely nowhere near being like a super, game developer. But, I'm hoping God will use, my gifts and talents to do something amazing with it, and that, people, will enjoy it more than anything.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome. So it's so funny that you bring it up that way, because we had Kenneth Dunlop on. He's the developer for Super Space Galaxy. And he was like, I'm working on this like open world space shooter, and I love open worlds. I love space shooters. I love shoot 'em ups. I love freaking games, man. So like, there's just so much stuff that I'm into, and I was like, dude, come on the show and talk about your game. And we were just kind of doing some kind of behind the scenes talking back and forth, and because I write music and I do some music production stuff, we were talking about doing some music for the game or whatever. And he was like, man, you know what I really love? There's this horror game I'm working on that, like, I'd love for you to do some stuff for that, but that's like behind Super Space Galaxy. Like, I got to get through this game. And I'm like, whoa. Now, horror games are my favorite. Anybody who's listening to the show knows that that's my jam right there. And I was just like, what is this? I was like, dude, I'll make anything you want. I'll do anything you want for Super Space Galaxy if you give me a shot at the at the horror game. That's like,
yeah, that's awesome.
That's like bucket list stuff right there, man. So that's really cool though, because that tells me as a creative that your brain is working and it's multi-layered. It's like I've got this project, I've got to get this done, but my head's already 5 steps forward on the next thing, and like, you're constantly moving and churning. And it's so funny because I had a conversation with Dan Evans today, and listeners of the show will know that is the writer of the Godfo universe. He is not only a musician, a writer, and a bunch of other things. He's game dev, and he's working. So with Godfo, the Godfo universe, he's making. They've written a novel. That's already done. They're writing out their comic book stuff now. They're getting ready to release volume 1 this year. And they're making short films to support it. We're working on I don't want to call it a podcast necessarily, because it's way more than a podcast. So it's like an audio drama of what they call the Lamentations, which are like diaries in the Godfo universe, essentially. And they're going to be support pieces for their project. But he's also working on a game, and he and I are going to do a convention this year together, which will be my first con that I actually set up at.
That's so cool.
It really is. Thank you. And that's probably an announcement I should make on the show officially, is that I was actually, I have my first ever podcast panel approved at a con. So not only am I going to set up at the con for the first time, but I'm also approved for a panel. So Dan and I are going to talk, horror in video games, because it's actually a horror convention. So he's like, man, I really want to have, I want to make sure we have power at our little table, our little booth area, so I can, show off a demo of the game. And it's just, the most recent 3 game devs I've talked to are all in the same headspace, where it's like, I'm working on this thing, but I'm also working on this thing. And that is something that resonates with me as a creator, because you're like, yeah, I'm working on this song, but I'm also working on this thing. I'm also working on this thing. There's something about your brain that just moves like that, and you have to get that stuff out, man. So
yeah,
I think that's really cool. So I didn't want to derail too far from the land between, because I really want to dig into that some more. So when you said that your daughters asked you to make them a game, I'm assuming that means that not only do they know that you game, but y'all game together, and they're gamers as well?
Yeah. So they, they've been playing video games. And it was something that we did kind of as a family. Is like, my wife plays video games, I play video games.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so getting to play with them, even my youngest, who's 4, I mean, she doesn't know what she's doing, but she's smashing buttons, and she sees, at least the other characters dying. So she's like, I'm doing something right. And so, yeah, we'll do a lot of that stuff together. And so it's been great, especially developing this one, because even actually the voice actor for the little girl is actually my oldest daughter.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. She's gotten a kick out of it. My middle daughter, she's one of the voices in the game as well. And so they just, they love doing it and everything, and they love testing it. And so they're like, can I play the game? Can I test it? And I want to try doing this in this level and everything. And so the interesting thing is, like, the game is done. I finished it probably in about 4 months, but it's just been a process of polishing all the levels, getting all the voice actors for it. Trying to clean up a lot of the bugs and the glitches that come with it. But they've been just super excited to be a part of that, really.
Dude, that's so cool. Like, it's so funny because, like, I always try to involve my children on everything. Like, they've been on the podcast. We'll talk video games. We've done reviews together. We've done some music stuff together. Like, I was actually watching a video. I reposted on Facebook today one of the first little unboxing videos that my daughter did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, actually, I posted on Facebook because it was originally just a video that I released on Facebook. I never put it on YouTube or anything like that, which I still haven't. But it was kind of one of the first, like, little editing projects I'd ever done with video. Like, I've done audio editing for years, but haven't done too much video. And it's so funny because she's doing this unboxing, and then my youngest keeps crawling around the corner, and every time he does, I have like this it's like, duh, kind of pop up whenever he shows up, where he's like photobombing her video and stuff like that. And it was really funny. We were watching that together, and my daughter's got her little YouTube channel where she creates little shorts and stuff, and that's just kind of like, I don't, like, I launched my YouTube channel because she was doing hers. I said, I was like, there's a lot of other, I've told the story on the show, but there's a lot of reasons why I decided to do one. And, one of the reasons was because I was going to compete with her, because she was like just kind of casually making these little videos or whatever. And I was like, I bet you if I start a YouTube channel, I'll make it to 100 subscribers before you do. She's like, no way, Dad. And so we had this little competition. I said, all right, the winner buys the loser buys the winner a key lime pie, because my daughter and I both love key lime pie.
That's awesome.
And sure enough, she beat me. She beat me by like 30 subs. Like, she killed me.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That is impressive.
It was good. But see, they say with any kind of content creation, any kind of stuff like that, the first 100 are the hardest. Getting started, getting in front of people. And I was like, I kind of spurred her along, like, I don't have to have a bunch of subscribers to do my thing or whatever. It'd be great if I do. If I don't, okay. But I was just kind of like, my video got 9 more. I got 30 subscribers this month. And it would push her to put out another video. And she started kind of like, what's trending and we kind of we have their stuff kind of locked down as far as access to the internet and things like that. So we got to be super careful. And I'm involved in all that stuff. So it's not like I'm like, oh, just go Google what's out there. Like we were working on it together, and then I was her 100th subscriber.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome. So it's so funny because but it's just get involved, and it's something that, granted, that's not the same scale as, you developing a video game and having your daughters in it. But just from a dad, just trying to be involved in your child's life, I totally resonate with what you're doing, because they'll never forget that. Your daughters are never going to forget that you made a game and they were in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And I'm right there with you. I think, so on the side, I work as a trauma counselor, and so I come across so many kids who just, they don't have their dads, they don't have, one parent or the other, and this game kind of really speaks to that, because the part of the story is actually a dad and a daughter, without giving away too much, but it's focused around that, and it's so being able to just have that with them and share that with them, just like you said, it's something that's going to resonate for the rest of their lives. They're going to remember the little things that we do as parents, and just celebrating that time with them. And so I think that's awesome.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. I love hearing that. So, all right, so let's get into some details on the game. Let's get into some details on your background, your interests, and things of that nature. So you said it was a fantasy platformer. So there's some action in there. So what are some of your gaming inspirations? What are things that you're drawing inspiration from?
So for this one, it was super simple because of the laptop I was taking. I was literally borrowing a day-to-day laptop on this deployment. There wasn't a whole lot I could do without it crashing. And so I was like, I need to keep this as super simple as possible. Make it a simple, basic jumping mechanics and everything, but it kind of morphed into other things. There's zip lines and bouncing flowers, and obviously you get to ride a lion and attack with the lion and all these different things, and there's bosses and whatnot. But yeah, so a lot of the inspiration came from like Zelda. My daughters love playing Zelda, and so that's always been a huge kind of a staple when we play here, all the older ones, like Ocarina of Time and everything. It was funny. I had shared a video. It was one of the cutscenes to the level, and they're like, there's people online. They're like, hey, this kind of reminds me of like the Deku Tree or the Forest Temple and everything. I was like, yes. So
that's awesome.
That's where kind of a lot of the inspiration came from. It was just kind of that old Nintendo 64 style game.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so I would ask then, what were some of your, I guess, favorite consoles over the year? Like, are you a Nintendo guy? Or you kind of play a little bit of everything? Are you a PC guy? Like,
so I started, with like your Nintendo, like the old console and everything, Sega, 64. And so playing a lot of the older games. I never got to do anything with Atari. I never got to play that. Okay. But everything that came out, I was blessed enough that my parents were able to share that with me. It's funny, I grew up playing video games with my parents, even though they had no clue what was going on. Just simply having them there playing with me was enough. And so everything, Xbox and everything. And it's funny because I had never really invested in a PlayStation, and one of my buddies at basic training, he was like, have you played The Last of Us? And I was like, no, I've heard about it. I was like, but I don't have a PlayStation. He's like, go get a PlayStation, play the first 15 minutes of the game, you'll be hooked for the rest of your life. And sure enough,
we all say that.
Yeah, it's just like, it was funny because that's the pitch that I gave my wife too. I was like, just play the first 15 minutes. That's all you need. And sure enough, she played the first 15 minutes and she got hooked. And so, so I've dabbled across several different consoles. PC's kind of been the last rung on the ladder, if you will.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Our platform, we tend to lean heavy on the PlayStation, although, I've brought on some Nintendo hardcore to kind of balance the scales a little bit. I'm just a diehard PlayStation fan. The games that come out on PlayStation, they just appeal to me. I think it's awesome. And so my next question is going to be, seems to how you've kind of framed the systems that you jump on, how do you feel about like trophies and achievements and things like that?
I think it's great to reward the player. I mean, when you do something that's maybe hidden, or like you're kind of going out of your way to try to find something that may or may not be there, and you find something and you get an achievement for it. I think it's something that it's always like, oh, that was cool. I didn't expect that. Yeah. And so, that's the interesting thing with this game is there's several different little hidden things throughout the game. I mean, like a child can pick it up, play it, and play through from point A to point B. But if you take the time to, pick up all the different little, rewards, or the, in the game, there's these little butterflies and everything. You access memories and you see the deeper parts of the storyline, kind of the darker parts to the storyline of what happened to this little girl in real life, if you will. And so you have those, you have different little, trinkets that you can pick up. And once you collect them all, you get this achievement and everything. But each little trinket gives you kind of a backstory again to the deeper part of the game. And so to really understand the full concept of everything that's being played in the game, you really have to kind of really pick up everything, if you will.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's very cool. Very cool. So now you have you started your own studio. It's called Set Apart Studios.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything anything significant about the name, or starting the studio, or is that something you did just so you could release your game?
So, it's interesting. We were talking before that you were in a Christian metal band. I was in a Christian screamo band growing up, and
yes.
We would tour and everything. We'd record, and it was just a blast. I loved it. And when we were first trying to come up with names, one of the it was out of this scripture verse that where God's telling Ananias, I'm going to set apart Paul for something bigger, and so, but that Greek word is hagizo, and I was like, that would be such a cool name, and the guys were like, not gonna happen. And so I was like, all right, whatever. But that word set apart has always stuck with me, and so I told myself, if I ever do anything with it in any kind of direction, or like any kind of business or something, I'd love to use that concept of being set apart, something that is made for something bigger.
Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool. What did you play in your screamo band?
So I was the rhythm guitar and screamer and vocalist. I'd kind of jump between singing and screaming, and then then we had the lead guitar, bass, and drums and whatnot. But yeah, that's what I was doing.
Heck yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, we played. We started in 2006, back when it was, I guess, considered screamo, but we were like, no, we're metalcore. we're metalcore. We don't just, and we incorporated some singing, but for us it was a lot more of the screaming nature.
Nice. And
then we just have been, even now, even as nearly 40-year-old adults, we're just sold out on heavy music.
Yeah.
And it's like the heavier, the better. It's like there's just no real limit to how heavy we want to go.
Yeah.
And so we ended up venturing into the deathcore kind of scene, and we opened
up. Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. We actually opened up for Flyleaf. We opened up for Impending Doom.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. We played with the Chariot. So we played with just so many huge bands, man, and just like people that we looked up to, and it was just like, you're the reason why I picked up a guitar.
Yeah.
You've heard of the band Korn, right? I mean,
yeah, of course.
Okay, so Brian Welch, the guitar player, years and years ago, he left the band because he, got off drugs, got cleaned off alcohol and stuff, and found Christ.
Yeah.
And he originally started his project just under his name, Brian Head Welch. And then he started the band Love and Death. Well, I was fortunate enough to be able to play Cornerstone Festival with, Brian Head Welch / Love and Death.
No, snap.
Yeah, dude. And For Today and all those guys. POD. So we got to do just some really, really, really cool stuff, man. And it's like, man, that's part of the reason why I podcast now is because we once we started, when we all started having kids and we stopped traveling and we stopped trying to pursue our rock dreams.
Yeah.
It was like, what do I do with all this gear? We've got microphones for everything,
Yeah.
and amps I had so many amps. So I just started selling and trading my gear off. And I was like, we joked because me and the guys, when we would get on the road together, it was just the most ridiculous stuff we would say and do. We were just always making each other laugh and just just being so silly. And there's a camaraderie that comes with being on the road together. It's like, there's just so much fun. You just can't. You just can't. We were joking. We're like, man, if we had a microphone with us everywhere we went, this would be comedy gold.
Yes.
We're always laughing. And so that's how this show started, because it was the leftovers from Ninja Loot, which was the name of our band. Terrible name. It's a video game name, but it's a terrible name. And it was like the leftovers of Ninja Loot. So we started our podcast, and it was called Remember the Loot.
Oh, that's cool.
Almost like an ode to the band, And then we made some changes, and stuff. And then we're like, all right, we're just going to call the podcast the Loot Bros, because the three of us that started it, we came from the band.
That's so cool.
And then I had always joked that I was going to get my brother actually, on the show and make the actual brother part official. But sure enough, it just stuck. So that's really cool. I had a feeling that the Set Apart was not just like, oh, this just, not of this world, a Trinity Christian slang, kind of thing. That there was a story behind it, man. So that's really dope, especially because we come from a similar background. That's totally cool. I had no idea, by the way, listeners. I didn't know. I had no idea that this was going to be. I'm smelling my own over here. Another brother who played in a screamo band, and I would definitely identify as a rhythm guitar player. Albeit there were several years where I was the only guitar player, so I was, rhythm is about as best you're going to get out of me.
Oh man, it's funny because we were kind of the same thing. We were kind of stuck between, just a guitar, bass, and drums for like the longest time. We finally got a lead guitar player to jump in with us. But I'm right there with you. The road trips were like the best part. We would go to like different like youth groups or churches, and we were just kind of like anywhere that would let us play, really. And we do these huge rock concerts at the like during like the end of the weekend type thing, retreats. I remember we opened up for a band called Ever Stays Red. And that was kind of where we kind of took off, where people were like, hey, you guys did that. And so we were just teenagers at the time. We never really got the chance to really pick up and go.
Heck yeah, man. That's still really cool though. And it doesn't, it's just like I say with anything else. You don't have to be huge to be satisfied and to be impactful, man. And we were never a huge band. We played some killer shows, and we played some festivals, and we got some really good opportunity. We got to open for Memphis Mayfire before they blew up.
That's so cool. They are so awesome.
Yes. Back when they were still straddling that line of, your post-hardcore and your Southern metal, like when they were when they released that Gingivitis song on that EP or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and we got to open with We Came as Romans. We got to open up for those guys. So we got to do some really cool stuff, dude. And it was so much fun, and the best part was that building that camaraderie, being on the road, and we, because we were all Christians, we opened up our practice spot to anybody who wanted to come hang out with us.
That's so cool.
We would rent a storage unit, and our storage unit was essentially, we rehearsed 1 or 2 times a week if we could, but we played a ton of shows. We had shows every week. So it was kind of like, we'll rehearse the night before if we can, just kind of run through the set, and we would open it up, and young people would come to our storage units and just hang out, and they would mosh and they'd cut up with us. But we were that group that was like, just like that guy that you said you invited you in as a creative to give you feedback.
Yeah.
We were that group that was like, if we said, hey, come find us backstage and talk to us, we would stop what we're doing and have those conversations with you. And, building those relationships with people mattered to us, and it still matters.
Yeah.
And so, I know that when I've met people that play music and they didn't have time for me, it really hurt the image and that I had of them, and you don't know everyone's circumstances. I get that, everyone's entitled to having a bad day. And so it was just one of those things where I was like, well, I don't want to have a bad day, and I try not to have bad days with the podcast, although I do, so I just try to make sure that this might be the only opportunity I have, to meet, to talk, to influence, or to help this person in whatever way. So that's really cool, man. I'm glad we got just,
no joke.
Like that.
I love the way you had put that, being able to just kind of engage people at their level, I think is so important, because it's like, I remember the same thing. You talk to one of your heroes and they're like, I don't really got time for you. It's like, oh man, that sucks. But I had one of those, well, at least now doing this whole video game development thing, getting to talk to one of these guys who are just like, I see them as just, being up there, making it in, making their game known and everything. And for them to just take the time to stop what they're doing, they've got work, they've got family, they're doing this development thing. And then, they cut out time to just, hey, how are things going? I saw you're doing this and everything. It's just like, man, this person is, just taking the time to check up on, us, I see myself as, lower end and everything.
Dude, yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. It makes a huge difference, man. It just encourages you. It revitalizes your energy. It's just like, oh man,
And you want to do it for other people,
Yeah, absolutely. Being relational and being intentional. It's crazy how much that does for the next person. And it comes at a cost to you sometimes. Sometimes it's like, man, I might not have the energy today, but I need to, because you just don't know what that does for the next guy. So now I've got your trailer here for your game, just kind of on one of my screens.
Yeah.
And it says, it's coming to Steam this year. So you feel pretty good about that? I mean,
yeah, like I said, we finished the game last year in April. It's just been trying to clean up the glitches, the bugs, and then just kind of making it known to people. So the game, we're pushing for end of December of 2023, and so we're thinking over the course of this year, if we can get people involved, get good feedback. The people that have been such a huge support, they've been, hey, what do you think about this? And they're, like I've said before, I like telling a story, but man, when people start giving input, and this is from everywhere. I mean, I've had infantry dudes, I've had, people from, the local church, people from, even my daughter, she was like, we had this one, if you got to play the demo at all during the testing stage, like when the character gets hit, the entire screen kind of goes red, it kind of blinks and everything, and it goes back to normal and everything. My daughter, my oldest one, she was like, what if you did something like, the Zelda blinking thing where it's just the character that blinks? I'm like, man, I did not think of that. You are so wise for being such a kid. And so, I implemented some of those things. And so really just kind of making, getting people's input and having them feel like they're part of the whole development process, I think is more satisfying for me. Getting their insight, and they're like, wow, you made that change. I didn't think you would do that, and so it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. So I have downloaded the demo from itch.io.
Nice.
So you had sent me the link. I've got it downloaded, and I, unfortunately, God, I wish, being a terrible host, I wish I could have played beforehand, but I've got it downloaded. I've never downloaded anything from itch.io, so I did spend some time on there. I'm like, wow, there's a ton of stuff here. I didn't realize this was a platform where you could just, upload your stuff like that and have so much I guess, opportunity. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really neat place. So I've heard of games being on itch.io, and I think there was one point in time, there was like the COVID-19 bundle on Humble Bundle where you could spend like $14 and you got like 100 games from there.
Yeah, yeah.
It might have been more. One of our co-hosts, she bought it. You know, she was the one that told us about it, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." But I didn't understand what that platform was, man. And so just kind of playing around on there. So, but yeah, dude, if it's cool, I would like to put the link for that into the show notes, and then give the community the opportunity to download it. And
Yeah, that would be
out.
Awesome. Absolutely, absolutely, that'd be awesome.
So what I'll do is go ahead.
I was going to say that demo is supposed to be released here this weekend, and so the one that we sent to you it's already been updated like tremendously from the one I sent you, and so we're looking forward to kind of putting that out, just kind of already with all new updates and everything with it. And
yeah, man, that's awesome.
I think this is going to be the ready to go release for the demo.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So now, when you say we a lot, is your wife helping you, or do you have other people on your team?
So I've always told people when they ask me about that is like, yes, I've been doing the development stage, but it's impossible to do really, I feel like, anything on your own. You need that support system in your life. And so I always tell people you should always have a Paul, a Barnabas, and a Timothy in your life. Somebody that's mentoring you, somebody who is, traveling the journey with you, and then somebody that you're also investing in and mentoring. And so, so I have, several different people in my life who have invested in me, who have taken the time to minister to me, minister to my family. And so I include them in that. I include a lot of the supporters in that too. One of the guys, he was actually one of my close friends back when I was stationed in Washington. He is actually the voice for the Lion. And so he actually came and visited me up in while I was in Poland. He came and visited and got to steal me away for a little bit, and he got to play through the game when it was like in that raw stage. And but yeah, having people in this I don't see it as a just me thing, because there's no way I could have done it without having those people that God's placed in my life.
Heck yeah, dude, that's awesome. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Okay, cool. It made a weird noise, so I thought I lost you for a second. So awesome. Well, that's cool. Well, that's really great, man. And I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to talk to you. I'm going to take all of the links to everything you have, your social medias, your YouTube, and the demo and all that stuff. I'm going to put that in the show notes. Is there anything else you want to share? Is there anything else you want to kind of put out there while I still have you? We went way over the amount of time that I.
Oh, it is totally fine, brother. It's totally fine. I appreciate the time, and just you taking the time to really work with me and hear from me. It's definitely been a blessing to kind of get to know you on a deeper level, and seeing how many things we have in common.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's been just such a blessing. And man, I pray so much favor and blessing over your family, and super excited to see what God's going to do in your life through this. And hopefully, praying that God willing will do something through this game, and be able to just, if nothing else, challenge somebody. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on. This has been super exciting. I hope that we will have you on again soon. I would love to, anytime you've got a big update, anytime you've got a new demo or something that you say, hey, I need some eyes on this, feel free to come on here. We'll talk about your game. If there's a game that you've played that you want to talk about, maybe something that you're just like, dude, you're just going through the Ocarina of Time again. I just really want to just dive into it. Just let me know, man. This platform is definitely available to you. We have several people that I reached out to, had them on the show once or twice, and then now they're getting to be rotating. I've just we have good conversation. We come on, we got some similar interests, and we talk about this hobby that we share, and we, and all the different facets that we're all involved in it. So,
well,
I definitely. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're totally good. Yeah, I'm just.
No, I was gonna say, I know you're getting into the voice acting, area, especially in game and development. Man, I'd love to have you be one of our voices. There's quite a few that I can think of, and I'd love to run those ideas by you someday, one of these times when you got some time, and we'll kind of go from there.
Absolutely, I would love to do it. I mean, that's something that I told you before that I'm pursuing, and I would love to get involved in any way possible. So we'll definitely, we'll stay in contact. We'll have that conversation, and I've got the whole setup. So whatever you need me to do,
sweet deal.
I can totally make that happen. So, well, man, this was a lot of fun. I'm really glad we were able to have this conversation. I thought I told you 30 minutes, and here we are over an hour later total. So
good times. Good times.
I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your family being able to let us borrow you for a little while because, everything comes at a cost. So
yes,
so definitely. So what we're going to do, Set Apart Studios, we're going to have all that stuff in the bio in the show notes. The Land Between is the game, guys. Be on the lookout. Steam 2023. Oh, one more question that I meant to ask, and I have it written down right beside me. I know you said Steam is where you're going to start. Are you interested in putting it out on any other platforms? Is that something that you're looking into, or is that too early in the process?
Yes, so the hope and the goal is to get it funded to where we can get it onto other platforms. That's the push. That's what a lot of people have been asking for. They're asking, can we get it on PlayStation? I've had people test it with the Switch controller. They're like, hey, would it be possible to get it on Nintendo Switch and stuff? And so if God's willing and He opens doors, that's the hope and the goal. But we're just kind of laying it at His feet and just hoping that it goes in the direction He wants. So,
excellent, awesome. Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to that one for sure. So that would be really awesome. And anytime there's an opportunity to get trophies, your boy is ready to go. So nice. Trophies and achievements, I'm all about it. So, and that's another thing too. Our community, we have a vast community of trophy and achievement hunters.
That's awesome.
We have. Matter of fact, one of the number one trophy hunter in Australia and one of the top achievement hunters in the world were co-hosts on the show.
Oh, that's so awesome.
For a long time. Yeah, we controlled the trophy hunters of Australia because we had CJ as our co-host. So it's definitely cool stuff. So, man, super excited for you. Really excited to play your game. And again, doors always open. I appreciate you coming on here. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been the Loot Bros podcast. Do not forget The Land Between, Steam 2023. We appreciate your time, and we're out of here.
It's the Loot Bros podcast. We're going to talk about video games and mow your grass. Loot Bros podcast. We're going to talk about butts and slurp and penises. So stay tuned.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the Trophy Rarity Update. I'll try to keep the timings slightly less than last week, if at all possible. I don't want to be upsetting Tricky again, so we'll jump straight into it. I hope you're all enjoying it. And as it seems customary to do so, we will start at the bottom of the table. It is a little bit as you were at the bottom of the table for the bottom three. So in 24th place, we have One Plat Zach, yet to score a point or a trophy this year. His latest trophy was in My Name is Mayo 2. Unfortunately, he was unable to complete that game. It's sat on his profile half finished, so potentially that finger bashing could have broken his crossbone, which would explain why he hasn't been using his PlayStation. However, interesting developments. I did notice he was online on his PS4 this evening, so he might be might be getting back into the swing of things. We will wait and see what happens over the next week. So he is firmly rooted to the bottom on 0 points. Next up in 23rd place is Kalai. She sat second from bottom. Didn't earn any trophies. She did earn points this week thanks to some legacy trophies she must have earned. She earned 3 points. Looking at her profile, she is playing Ghost of Tsushima, which she seems to have done for quite a while. But looking at it, all being well, she should have that complete by May 2025. She's on 5 points. Next up, 22nd, Darth Knight. Looking at when he last earned a trophy, which was New Year's Day, it could be that he's recovering from those New Year's Day celebrations. No trophies this week, but 4 points from Legacy, so bringing him on a total of 7. Hopefully we can start seeing some movement by Valentine's Day. That would be a nice goal. And then we enter the people who are earning trophies and are earning points, albeit next in line. 21st place is Tross0726. Interesting thing, backstory a little bit about this participant. I don't even know whether Tross knows that he's in this competition or not. He messaged, or sort of put a post on one of the Trophy Whores threads asking to be a part of Tricky's league table that he does on his Trophy Whores podcast. I inadvertently took that as being wanting to be part of the rarity contest. Added him, did all his stats, and it was only after that point, after 2 weeks, that I realised I'd read it wrong. But so he might not even know whether he's participating in this or not, but I've added him in. I can't be asked to take him out. So whether he likes it or not, he's in for the long haul, and he is playing a bit of Dead Space. His rarest trophy this week is 88.09%, so nothing too impressive there. But it's 3 points this week, 11 points in total. So well done, Tross, if you are listening and do know whether you're in this or not. Good luck. Next up in 20th place. 20th place is Departed 570. Back from holiday, looking to make gains. Nice little plat in The Last of Us Part 1. 24 points this week. Total of 33. But like Tross has been playing Dead Space remake, and his rarest trophy is Wishbone, which is 24.66%. Next up is Tricky Mick. What do we say about Tricky this week? Again, no qualifying trophies, yet does make 15 points, bringing him to a total of 41. Rarest trophy is down from about 88%. He's actually got that down substantially to 55.20. Funnily enough, he messaged me to say he thought he got a rare trophy, but Numbnuts was looking at the PSN rarity and not the PSN profiles rarity, so unlucky. But yeah, he's definitely the weakest of those Trophy Whores hosts when it comes to trophy legitimacy or trophy rarity, whatever you call it. But I'm telling you something you all know anyway. Water is wet and all that. So yeah. Next up is Riley. The Brain 76. Quiet week for him, 3 points, bringing him to a total of 43. Not played a great deal. Started a couple of games this week, but much like the rest of his profile, they're incomplete. 28.90% completion. Not the greatest. But yeah, at least it's something. That's all we can say. It's something. And he was playing a bit of We Were Here Together. And live entertainment was his rarest trophy at 48.26%. Next up, we got Stink Palm, Jared. It was an okay week for Jared. Nothing too great, nothing too bad. 11 points, total of 53. Playing a bit of Among Us. I Can Be Your Angle, 13.59%. Yeah, so it's not too bad. It could be worse, could be better. A bit like his Amber Heard rhymes, really, in that regard. So, so he's 53 points. Next up is Diego, who is actually separated the little love triangle that had been going on between Homer, Jared, and Riley. Those three, I should say, were inseparable, all contests, but now Diego has come between them, and they've disrupted their little threesome that they've had going on. So Diego has been making gains. He's actually he was slow start. He joined a little bit late, a week or so late, but he looks like he's back earning his customary 2 platinums a week. So sure he'll be looking to creep up the table. So yeah, this guy plays games. So watch out for him. Those people that are above him currently, because it may not last. He had 25 points this week, and his rarest trophy was the platinum in the Callisto protocol. So well done on that milestone. Next up, Homer has had a little jump up. I think he thought it was going to be a little bit better than what it was. A lot of effort goes into that platinum for Infamous, but not reflected in the points that he's earned. Only 7 points this week. But like I said, he has broken free of the hand-holding of Jared and Riley. So, but yeah, so his little trip back to 2008 didn't prove that fruitful, to be fair, with only 7 points getting it, given a total of 59. I think he's going to be starting Brink next week. Sadak, dual console player. I thought he'd be a bit higher than this, if I'm honest. Sort of towards the lower end of the table. I'd look him in on the Loot Bros leaderboards, both on the Xbox side and the PlayStation side. Top 5 in both. Plays a lot of shit by the looks of it. Hence probably why he's sat sort of below mid-table. Not many qualifying trophies. And he only scored 5 points this week. So he is a little bit of a gap between him and Homer. He's on 83, playing a game I've never ever heard of in my life. My first practice, Hatsune Miku, Project Diva Future Tone. Maybe wait for a sale on that one. Next up is MZ Nitro. Poor week by his standards, really. 17 points, but he has got into the triple figures. He's entered the triple figure, 100 points. He is on 100 points. His rarest trophy was Forge in My Own Path in WWE 2K22, 15.79%. And he has, like I mentioned in the write-up, this little bromance with Darrell where they keep swapping places. Oh, you take over. No, honestly, you take over. So this time he has fallen behind Darrell this week. I'm sure he'll be catching up, but that is if he did say he struggled with his internet, but that's what happens if you don't pay your bills. So get that sorted and you might go past Darrell again. So as we move on, Darrell, slow start really for Darrell. I expected a little bit more from him, if I'm honest. However, 27 points is nothing to be sniffed at. It's a shame, really, that this contest isn't involved in. We don't offer points for trawling through boxer shorts in Outback Barnes to pick up DVD copies of Batman v Superman. If that was the case, Darrell would be winning hands down. Unfortunately, it's not. So we are going to have to stick to playing games, and Darrell needs to do that a bit more rather than going out looking for them, perhaps. But again, he's gone down a trip down memory lane with his rarest trophy, playing Dead Space 2, The Nanny, 19.32%. Ahead of Darrell is another of the Loot Bros hosts, Joseph, Mr. TMNT, and another one of the group's Platinum Dodgers. Completion rate of 29.10% on his PSN profiles, and his last platinum actually was back in September in Shredder's Revenge. And with a name like Mr. TMNT84, if you don't get the platinum in Shredder's Revenge, you're going to have some serious questions asked of yourself. Looks like he has started another 3 games this week and trophies in all of them, and that has given him a 36-point increase, and he's now pulling away from Darrell slightly. He's on 148 points with a latest trophy in Cobra Kai 2 More Rats at 13.7%. Next up, a drop. Corey. Again, another late starter to the competition. After the first week of him playing, looked like he would be a serious threat to the top table. I think it was 111 points he had. His game time looks to have been limited, certainly this week. But it is quite fitting that him and Joe are next to each other. So they've seen as they do a lot of gaming together, a lot of other things together, I guess, as well. But he's doing a bit of World War Z, and his rarest trophy was Waste of Time, 13.24%. Let me see, how many we're on? Okay, top 10 now. And top 10 is JT. What do I say about JT? I mean, it took him 3 weeks to work out, basically wake up and smell the coffee and realise how the competition actually worked. But since he achieved that milestone, he's been flying, to be fair. He's got an abundance of ultra rares at 9, which I think is the most in the competition. And he's making sort of good gains up the table. He had 22 points, bringing him to 157 for the week. Treasure Hunter in Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory was his rarest. So he is looking good, unless I make any rule changes, and it takes him another 3 months to work out what has gone on. Sounds right. He wasn't 10th. He was 9th. Did him out of a position. So up into 8th, and that is Yield. Yield is, what did the Yield do? Yield, fairly moderate week for him. 32 points. Probably suffered from sticking his 897th hour into Deep Rock Galactic. That probably caused him to not earn as many points, but on the plus side, still living on the accolade of having the rarest trophy of the contest, which obviously is a notable achievement in its own right. Can he make a push to the catch up his trophy whore co-host? Well, one thing's for sure, the other one won't be catching him. But again, like last week, he had a rarest trophy in Final Station. It was, I can't remember what it was last week. This time it's Bob's story. It was another guy's story last time, but this is Bob's, 7.86%. Next up, CJ. And CJ has this unbelievable knack of sniffing out spam that still qualifies somehow. I don't know how he does it, but it's a pretty remarkable asset to have. I sort of liken it to the sense a tramp would have of smelling out leftover chips, 3 a.m. on a sort of after following a Saturday night out or something. Yeah, but he does it. He's had 46 points this week. He's up to 228 points now, so he's putting those. He is putting those figures in, which you'd expect from number one trophy hunter in Australia. His rarest trophy was Peerless Marksman in Forspoken, 12.75%. Next up was Marky Fraser. So it took me 4 weeks to actually tag. I kept referring to him as Marky Fraser, but I didn't realise he was actually in the group as Mark Fraser. So on me, that is. But yeah, it took me 4 weeks to tag him because that's how long it took him to pluck up the courage to post on one of the threads to let me know. But there we go. Obviously, as a platted MotoGP 22, and obviously must have been that good. He's actually gone back to the past and started MotoGP 2019. I would have probably done them the other way around if it was me personally. But anyway, each to their own. He's also started another game, which I'm very interested in, Football Manager 2023. That game nearly ruined my life in 1997. But that's another story. But he had 64 points this week, which is a really good amount. 231 points in total, so 3 points ahead of CJ. And he had a really good trophy, rare trophy at 2.0% in Gems of War. Bit of a surprise this one. You might, when you've looked at this league table, you might have been surprised to see this name down in 5th place, and that is Dupes25. And as I predicted a couple of weeks ago, when he got his Persona 4 golden trophies, I said there might be some decay, and obviously lo and behold, his ultra rare trophies have dropped quicker than Officer Megan Knowles knickers after a staff social, and that is what has dropped him out of the top three. Maybe next week he ought to concentrate on putting some miles in his controller rather than the miles in his legs, judging by his Facebook. But minus 33 points. I never thought I'd see a figure as low as that. But yeah, minus 33 has killed him. He's down, not up, he's down to 277 points. And it's quite an achievement in itself, actually, to be that low. And at that current rate of scoring, the likes of Tricky, Homer, and Jared sort of may overtake him sometime in June. His rarest trophy of the week was Reunion in Dead Space Remake, another one on the Dead Space train. Number 4 for me. So I've dropped again. Another place. I dropped last week. I've dropped again this week. And I've actually had a good week. I did 78 points. I've dropped a place. It could have been better, but my sales director has been off, so I've been filling in, working the weekends, working evenings. I had to go up to London sort of twice for sort of an overnight stay for 2 days last week. So, I mean, there could be excuses, but I don't want to make excuses because of the old adage. This is, my boss taught me this saying, and he, excuses are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and they all stink. So we move on. We don't make excuses. We move on, and I'll try and be better next week. And try and increase that. But I'm on 337 points. So, and I'm kind of in between. I'm like miles away from 3rd place, and I'm quite a way away from 4th as well, who were on 277. But my rare trophy was Practice Makes Perfect in Kickoff Revival. And that, by the way, was by accident. When I was up in London, I took my Vita with me just on the off chance. And I went to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, having breakfast at 8, meeting one of the directors. And so I went back to the room about 7:30. I had a shower and quickly just had 10 minutes to kill, so I put the Vita on. I thought, well, is there anything I could play? And I just put on the Kickoff, which I haven't played since 2017, looking at the trophy card. And suddenly I just sort of popped about 3 trophies, all decent, like as well, ultra rare or very rare. So that bailed me out big time on that. So yeah, so that's my rarest trophy of the contest as well, by the way. So next up is third place, and it's Alex from Trophy Horse. Really strong showing from Alex this week. 123 points. His policy of adopting the ploy of playing games suited to this contest, PS Plus, PS Extra, and actually it's not PS Extra, PS Plus only at the moment, because it can't be PS Extra because Tricky hasn't delivered on his Christmas presents that he said he was getting. He said that live on the show that he was getting Yield and Alex, but we're in February now, by the way, so 2 months they've been waiting for their Christmas presents. So yeah, if he gets that, he may get even more points, more rare trophies, but he has got a decent one in Axiom Verge 2, which was obviously a PS Plus offering last week. Yeah, so I wonder what will be next for Alex. Number 2, he was last week's number 1, and it's Redbeard Rick. And he is a bit of a surprise that he dropped down. I thought he'd be, once he got to the top, he'd probably be staying there. But he has been overtaken, and we'll come to that in a moment. But 76 points, so still a decent showing. But one thing you might not know about Rick, actually, is if you're not friends with him on Facebook, is that he likes to share some of his beloved classic films with his son on a Saturday night. They have a nice little takeaway, a pizza or something, a nice dessert, and they're watching a classic film. So, judging though by his recently played games, Arkham City and Skyrim for about the 16th time, perhaps Groundhog Day could be your next film to enjoy together. But his rarest trophy is Liberation in 60 seconds. So at 2.83. And again, that is his rarest trophy of the contest as well. Anyway, so Mies Goatslot, also known as George Smith. Again, I only found that out this week, that was his real name. I didn't realise he was in the group either, but I kept referring to him as Mies Goatslot, which was stupid because it's a bit of a stupid name. I don't know what it means, but I'll call it whatever he wants to call it. But so yeah, he said he reckoned he could get to the top, and he has got to the top. He's 7 points clear of Rick on 417. Rick's on 410. I forgot to mention that. He had 113 points this week, so really, really good showing. What makes it even more impressive is that he obviously has an aversion to ultra rare trophies, because he's on 0 so far, which is on a par with Tricky and Kalai, and not the people you want to be associated with in this type of contest. However, hats off to the lad, because to get to 417 points with no additional ultra rares is quite an achievement. So well done to him. That's the league table. So hopefully everyone's happy with that. I'll just quickly. This has gone on for already too long. It's gone on longer than the last one. Someone joked earlier saying, "Oh, it should be 22 minutes." It's already at 24. So apologies. I'm just going to have to stick it in at the end, aren't I? So top 5 rarest trophies. I'll try and be quick on this one. Top 5 rarest trophies of the week, starting in reverse order, is number 5 is Mies Goatslot, or George. Super hot. Stand ready, and that was get red ending in every level of the Speed Runner T challenge. Number 4 was Alex in 100% Apocalypse Flasks in Axiom Verge 2 at 4.41%. 4.414%. 4.414. Yeah. Find all Apocalypse Flasks. Number 3, Liberation in 60 seconds by Rick at 2.83%, which was rescue someone from the bandits. And at number 2, well, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, Marky Fraser. But Gems of War, 2.80, and that was for reaching 40,000 total underworld renown. Whatever that means, no idea. Number 1, my accidental trophy in Practice Makes Perfect on Kickoff Revival at 1.97%. So that brings, for the top 5 rarest trophies of 2023, we've got a couple of new additions. So 5, it's still JT with his Team Sonic Racing Platinum. Rick just replaces his 60 seconds trophy with Liberation by knocking 0.003 off it or something. Marky Fraser is at 3 with 2.0 with what he's just achieved. Well, I'm happy for you. And Gems of War, again, just knocking a little fraction off that. I come in at number 2 with my Kickoff Revival, but Yield still has the 1.15% rarest trophy on Deep Rock Galactic for earn silver promotions for all dwarves. And then the final thing is just to go through the platinum. So not as many this week as there was last week, and some of them are, I mean, they're not the most impressive list of platinums I've ever seen. So I'll start with the least rare. I was in two minds whether to include this one or not, but looking at the rest of his profile, I thought I've got to go for it because it's the best of a bad bunch. But Sadek in My Name is Mayo 3, it's a 97.07% platinum rate. Next is Diego doing Super Stardust Portable on 67.18. Departed 570 for The Last of Us Part 1, so 48.40. Diego again for the Callisto Protocol, so that's quite a nice one. The last two are nice ones, aren't they? The Last of Us Part 1 and Callisto Protocol. Mies Goats a lot, 21.16 for doing the Trine Enchanted Edition Platinum. And the rarest platinum of the week in the group was by Homer to get his 7 points all week in Infamous, 10.61%. So there you have it. Well done to everybody who got a platinum this week, and well done to everybody for participating. Sorry, it's long again. I'll try to keep it shorter next time.
One life to live and then we die. Will we leave a legacy that we're proud of? Will we fight? Time marches on and never stops for anyone. Take a look back, are you proud of what you've done? One life to live, we can't afford to mess around. As we stand in silence, our country crashes to the ground. I'll fight for freedom and truth, there's always freedom in you. The only one that can save us from all the bad that we do. I gladly stand on my beliefs and never try to push them over on anyone. We need to examine the things that we see every day. All these broken down people at the end of their rope. So wait, I'm coming with hope. You want to see it? Here's a blanket to keep warm and a burger to eat and a pillow if you want to go to sleep. By the way, would you mind if we prayed? God always hears our voices. The sound of our voice we prayed. She started off on her way. She said this is a part of your legacy. You didn't even have to acknowledge me. You touched me in so many ways. I will forever remember this day. I refuse to take anything glory, because God is the only one worthy. We all need help in our life when things go crazy and get topsy-turvy. Love is the power, there's nothing in life that can take it away. So I ask, who have you loved today? One life to live and then we die. Will we leave a legacy that we're proud of? Will we fight? Time marches on and never stops for anyone. Take a look back, are you proud of what you've done? One life to live, we can't afford to mess around. As we stand in silence, our country crashes to the ground. I fight for freedom and truth, there's always freedom in you. The only one that can save us from all the bad that we do. So many people keep dying, hit them all with a bang, bang. Thought they was living that life, but it's such a shame, shame. These mothers cry and scream, asking Lord, why me? Why couldn't we open his eyes and see what I see? Was playing basketball, took a fall and thrashed his knee. No more college for him, so he turned to the streets. He said, Mama, I love you, it's gonna be okay. I don't have nothing else, I have to make a way. Grabs a sack of the green as he steps out. Didn't see the car and they're down with the gun out. Rained out, shots fired, now he falling down. It was robbery that got him put inside the ground. One life to live and then we die. Will we leave a legacy that we're proud of? Will we fight? Time marches on and never stops for anyone. Take a look back, are you proud of what you've done? One life to live, we can't afford to mess around. As we stand in silence, our country crashes to the ground. I'll fight for freedom and truth, there's always freedom in you. The only one that can save us from all the bad that we do.
Yeah, what if I was this, what if I was that? Would you love me more, could it change the facts? What if I walked out the door and never came back? Would it make you happy, you appreciate that? You look me in my face and say you don't love me. Can I change something, can I change something, can I change something? Tell me your heart is beating, but you don't deserve it. You tell me I'm never good enough and you want me perfect. I try and be a good man, I guess I'm allergic. Guess I'm allergic and I'm nervous. I fight this battle with you every day and night. I try to see the light, but it don't come in sight. Your words drag me to the floor, there's gotta be more. God, there's gotta be more to this life.
One life to live and then we die. Will we leave a legacy that we're proud of? Will we fight? Time marches on and never stops for anyone. Take a look back, are you proud of what you've done? One life to live, we can't afford to mess around. As we stand in silence, our country crashes to the ground. I'll fight for freedom and truth, there's always freedom in you. The only one that can save us from all the bad that we do.